Hey everybody, I am your host Elad, and today I'm reporting to you from Manchester, New Hampshire at this upcoming Trump rally. Let's go talk to some Trump reporters, see what's going on.
What's up, bro?
So we're out here today for the Trump rally in New Hampshire. So adjacent to us, Trump's going to be speaking there in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, behind us, we have a lot of anti-Trump protesters. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here and what do you think of the protests here?
I mean, honestly, the only reason I came out is because I watch a lot of the YouTube videos. Like, I watched a lot of the protests that Fleckas and everybody goes to, and I was just like, is this shit real life or is this like just a show? You know what I mean? And then you come out here and it's like, okay, these people really believe this, and it's like, okay, so what exactly has Trump done wrong? I will be honest and say that I don't like his rhetoric. Cool, but when you look at the policies, how can you be mad at something good that's helping our country? That doesn't make sense.
Are you a native from New Hampshire?
I'm from Northern Virginia. I've been in New Hampshire for the last, coming up on 6 years. You know what I mean?
So I want to talk a little bit because people often harp on Trump being very too aggressive and using very coarse language. So recently in Baltimore, he said it's rat infested, and then of New Hampshire, he called it a drug infested den. So what do you think about that? Is New Hampshire a drug infested den? Is that the right rhetoric for the president to be using?
See, I don't know. That depends on the person. Personally, if you're gonna call it for what it is, call it for what it is. I'm not mad at you because if it wasn't true, then it's like, all right, you're up here lying. But do we have a drug problem in New Hampshire? Yes. Are there rats everywhere in Baltimore? Yes. So it's like, if you don't want them to talk shit about you, fix it.
So now, for reasons that you really like Trump, what's Trump actually accomplished in the past few years that you really appreciate, that you could hang your MAGA hat on and say, this is why I'm going to vote for Trump in 2020?
I say the economy, lowest black unemployment, the First Step Act. That'd probably be it, because I don't like the way he talks about guns. I'm pro Second Amendment all the way. I don't like that.
Follow up on that.
Let's do it.
So recently there've been a few recent mass shootings.
Yep.
We've had mass shootings into Obama's years. We've had mass shootings into Bush's years.
Yep.
But Trump floated this idea about red flag laws. What do you think about red flag laws? What do you think about the Second Amendment?
The Second Amendment is the only amendment that really matters, because without that one, you can't defend the other one. So I don't like the way he plays with the Second Amendment. Like the whole thing with the Fredo and Chris Cuomo just happened, and he sent that tweet out, and he was like, he was acting kind of crazy. Let's hit him with a red flag law. It's like, nah, bro, you can't play with the Second Amendment like that. So
is that a reason for you to potentially not vote for him?
100%.
So like you would consider not voting for Trump because of him floating the idea?
If he floats the idea, if he keeps talking that red flag mess, and it like seems like it's going to gain some traction, I'm not going to vote for him. I won't vote for anybody.
I appreciate
Just on principle, you know what I mean? It's like, see, this is my thing. I hate when people say, I want the president to fail, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, that's the face of our country. Would you want your parents' marriage to break up? That just sounds stupid. You know what I mean?
There's some comedians and stuff calling for a recession because they think it would help their case with impeaching Trump. What do you think about people like that calling for America to actively do worse?
See, it's funny because the people that call for a recession are typically the people with the most money. It won't affect them the most. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so we have a recession. You're good. You're going to go get your groceries. What about me? No, I don't want a recession. I don't think that's going to help anything. Stop calling for bad shit to happen to us. Like, simple as that. You know what I mean?
I'll ask you one more question.
Let's do it.
Conservatives during Obama's years always complained about, we have a ballooning deficit. And Trump just signed a new budget deal that's still going to balloon the deficit. I think it's going to hit something like 30 trillion, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Do you care about the deficit?
I mean, the deficit does matter because at some point it does have to balance itself back out. And I mean, when you... I don't know. The dude's a businessman. I don't think he's a politician. He's a businessman. So if he's doing something money-wise, I kind of can't comment on it because he knows what he's doing. So I sit back and watch. You know what I mean?
That deficit's scary.
The deficit is scary. I will say that. Yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? So I don't want to sound ignorant, so I'm not going to say something I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's fair principle, too. Just in conclusion, was there anything else you want to mention?
Can I do a shameless plug?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. All right, so check me out on Twitter. It's IStayWithIt93. Hotep with it. Follow me. I got a lot of good shit.
Were you born in 93?
Born in 93.
Me too, dude.
My man.
Thank you so much for your time, bro. I'll see you around. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Stop trumping on our 2A. Awesome sign. So we're out here today in New Hampshire. Trump's going to be speaking in a few hours. We have anti-Trump protesters behind us. You have a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. This sign says, "Stop trumping on our 2A." Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here, what it means for you to be out here?
Well, I'm not anti-Trump necessarily. I like a lot of what he's doing. In sense of he wants border control and stuff. The economy looks okay right now, but Second Amendment wise, calling for red flag laws, calling for wanting to talk about assault weapons bans. That's just not right. That's just us Second Amendment people have been negotiating our rights away since 1934. We haven't gotten anything in terms of compromise from the other side. It's just been us giving and giving. and it's done. The NRA isn't on our side anymore. Everyone here says, screw the NRA. NRA is the problem. You know, they're not even for us, so I don't know why they're so anti-NRA.
I wanted to ask you, let's say Trump does pass some sort of red flag law in some capacity. Would you end up voting for him in 2020?
Nope. I'd vote for a third party.
Okay.
You know, I'd rather vote third party than go against what I believe in. So.
Do you think Trump's been a strong two-way president? He hasn't really spoken much about it. I know he has appointed a bunch of judges who I believe to be pro-Second A, but him and himself, has he been very pro-2A to you in any sense?
Nope, other than his campaigning in 2015, 2016, where he said the 8 years of terror on your Second Amendment are over. We've had more legislation.
It's okay, keep going.
We've had more legislation passed on the against the Second Amendment since he's been president than all 8 years of Obama. And Obama wasn't, obviously, he was openly against firearms and such, but Trump said that he was for them, but he's, you know, he's a Democrat. He's been
originally he said he was a Democrat.
He's been back and forth. If you look in his prior voting history, he's been back and forth his whole life. But he's a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker, and he doesn't really understand, like, he says he doesn't like suppressors at all. He doesn't even know what a suppressor is.
I was going to say, when he talked about these red flag laws, it seemed very off the cuff, and Trump often talks on the cuff. Do you think he was serious about it, or just trying to appease people, because obviously these were coming on the heels of shooting sprees? I'm not going to call them mass shootings.
Yeah, well, see, I'll only vote on action. If he's going to keep talking anti-Second Amendment stuff, but he doesn't do anything,
I don't know if that's still good for I think that's still bad for the Second Amendment, even floating those ideas.
Sure, if he's trying to appease and get a larger voter base, I get that. It's a game. It's just trying to get as many votes as you can. Sometimes you gotta compromise on certain things and try to agree with each side. But if he doesn't actually, like, if Congress got out of recess and they put forward a red flag bill and he signed it, that'd be it for me.
Yeah. Trump often uses very coarse, mean, harsh language. Recently he called Baltimore like a rat-infested den, and we're in New Hampshire now. He actually called New Hampshire like a drug-infested den. What do you guys think about that language? Do you guys mind that language?
No, but it's true. I work as a 911 EMT in a very busy drug-infested city. I think that his language is coarse, but it's true. So it's like, if you're gonna get angry with him, you're gonna get angry at the truth, and you know that's your own problem. But it's true. It's absolutely true. And like Elijah Cummings can, you know, moan and cry all he wants against Trump, but his own district has like the beginnings of the bubonic plague in it. I mean, because of how many rats are in there, and like his own children are failing, getting shot in record numbers.
I think he's rightfully calling out these cities and areas.
I think he's using coarse rhetoric, definitely. I mean, like, I'm not in his position. I don't know what I would use. I don't condemn him. I don't think he's calling the people in those districts said, you know, rats or whatever. Like, he's not calling them rats. He's calling the areas rat infested. And he's right. He's totally right. Do you know what I mean?
I also wanted to ask you guys, where do you guys stand on the Second Amendment?
Don't infringe.
Don't tread.
Don't tread on me. And I don't like what Trump just said recently. I really don't like that.
Red flag laws. Trump recently floated the idea after there were a few mass shootings, or I don't even know if I want to call them mass shootings because statistically we add them up weird, but there were a couple of mass shootings. Trump floated the idea of red flag laws that would prevent some people getting these. What do you guys think of that?
Completely disagree with them. I think, to be honest though, I don't know what you think, but like when I heard him say that, I thought he was almost baiting. Like, I don't really think
Something's to be said that these red flag laws wouldn't have prevented any of the recent mass shootings either, as I understand. So these new gun laws aren't going to be made in lieu of like preventing gun laws that could have, you know, they wouldn't have prevented anything.
Well,
so
here, I mean,
Thank you. That was glorious. Thank you for that.
You know, I mean, I think for the vast majority of us, politics is really just a hobby that we kind of engage in when we're thinking about going to bed an hour before. For everything that I've seen, there's no correlation between gun access and the amount of gun-related homicide. Or if there is, there's no correlation between gun access and overall homicide numbers. I mean, we've seen that the murder rate in London is higher than it is.
So displeased with the red flag laws?
I'm displeased with them. Look,
you're still going to vote for Trump in 2020?
It's a slippery slope. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's no other option.
What would Trump need to do to lose your guys' vote in 2020, if anything?
A hell of a lot.
That's a great question. That's a really great question.
Just shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. Would that? I mean, would you
Depends
guys?
on the person.
Okay. Nice answer.
Really
Very
depends
good
on the
answer.
person.
And what could he do? Because red flag laws, a lot of 2A people are upset.
Epstein, but we all know Hillary did that. But like, if he shot Jeffrey Epstein, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't care really that much. Like,
That you guys could think of?
Look, he would have to do a hell of a lot to make himself less appealing
he
than
would have
any
to
other
be
option.
Definitively implicated in the Epstein like whole shit storm that's going on.
You know he has pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, right? Does that worry you at all?
From a long time,
Not
like
really.
decades
No,
ago.
it doesn't, because
he
like
banned Epstein from attending Mar-a-Lago like in 2001 or something. So he hasn't been associated with this guy for.
he's not on the flight log.
longest time.
Like Clinton's on the not. That's whataboutism right there. But like he's not on the flight log. He called him a pervert after like the incident at Mar-a-Lago. I'm not ruling it out. I mean, he could be implicated in it. I'm open to the facts of it, but it's just not. Do you know what I mean? I'm open to it, but I just don't see the evidence right now. I just don't. His type is more 20-something-year-old supermodels. Avid Evans, you know.
There's a lot more pictures of that. There's a lot more pictures
so
of
you
that.
know what I mean? I just don't see the evidence for him being like a level pervert that Bill Clinton is.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are enjoying the video, but if you're really enjoying the video, like, subscribe, support me on Patreon, support me on PayPal, support independent media and independent journalism. Enjoy the rest of the show. We're out here today ahead of Trump's rally that's coming up in a few hours. I see you guys have a couple of signs. It says, smart blondes think alike.
Yeah.
And that's Trump. And then, is that you
That
over
is
there?
me.
Okay, that works. And
Another sign.
it says, in 1920, women got the right to vote. And in 2020, the 17-year-old will too for Trump. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you guys are out here and what it means for you guys to be out here?
So, I actually love Trump, and I think what he's doing for our country is great. And even as a young citizen of the United States, I can still see that. And I hope that the future is really great for America, and that in 2020, Trump will be elected, and it will keep being great, so that when I get a job when I'm older and I work my ass off, I'll get the benefits of it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And also, it's really important for women to get a right to like say what they believe in, and I think that like just being here feels really empowering. Yeah.
Trump often the media often calls Trump sexist. Do you guys view Trump as sexist? And what do you think about the media calling him sexist?
I don't think that Trump is sexist. I think that the media twists things around that he says to make people believe that he is sexist, but I don't think that he is. I think that he's actually a good person, that the media just turns their back on them because the media hates him.
And what do you think?
I think that it's easy to get people's words mixed up, and it's easy to take what you want from what people say. So I don't think he's sexist now.
I'm really happy that to mark the 100 years of women voting, that I can actually vote in this election because I'll be 18. And I'm really happy that this is my way to celebrate, is by voting for Trump.
Are you guys scared of being pro-Trump publicly? And then some people say women who vote for Trump are kind of traitors to women because it's so aggressive. So do you guys feel like you guys are singled out for being Trump supporters, or people are aggressive towards you because of that?
I think if you are vocal and you tell people about it, that there's more Trump supporters that are women than you think there are, because oftentimes people are ashamed for being Trump supporters, but why should you be ashamed to be proud of your country and proud of your president? Because he was elected for a reason, and that's because people liked him.
Absolutely. What do you think?
I think that I don't know. I think that it's just an important thing to stand up for what you believe in, and that no matter what other people have to say, just be yourself.
And one last question. What is one Trump accomplishment that you guys appreciate the most, that you guys could really hold your MAGA hat on and say, this is why I want to vote for Trump in 2020? Is there one thing specifically that he did that you guys are really impressed with?
Yeah, I just think him in general, how he is just always true to who he is and will never hold back. I think that that's something that everyone should look at and take away from.
Like the authenticity,
Yeah.
right? And what do you
Mine is the jobs, because I think that you should get off your ass and work. And if you want to be successful, you need to work. And I think that that's what this country needs, is people to actually get out there and work. And I think that he's been very good at that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rally. But behind me, we have anti-Trump protesters. You're holding a sign. It says, stop your hate, go home. But it says, Democrats, stop your hate and go home.
That's right.
You're wearing an NRA hat. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here, what it means for you to be out here?
This is all about pushback. It's time the American people came out and started pushing back. 20% of the country, population-wise, is trying to run the country. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, we're going to start pushing back.
Since you're wearing the NRA hat, I wanted to ask you, are you pro-Second Amendment?
Oh, definitely.
And recently, there have been a few shootings that have occurred, and Trump's kind of floated this idea about red flag laws. Do you have any thoughts on Trump's floating the idea of red flag laws?
I think people can spot a red flag person without necessarily making it a law. And The trouble we have right now with these shootings, there's not enough people shooting back. That's the problem.
So would you be against Trump promoting this red flag law? Because that's what he's floating around now.
I would prefer that he would not.
Do you think it infringes on the Second Amendment? It's kind of giving a step in the wrong direction?
That's the camel's toe under the tent.
So would you still support Trump even though he's floating these ideas that are against the Second
I
Amendment?
don't care what he floats.
Is there anything Trump could do to make you not support him?
Die.
He's famously said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and my supporters will still support me. If he shot someone on Fifth Avenue, would you still support him?
That's out of the... We don't talk about something out of the realm. We talk about positive things. That's where we want to go, positive.
What are the major accomplishments that Trump's done that make you want to vote for him again in 2020?
Number one, the economy. Number one might be immigration. Both, very important. Very important for saving this country. Now, they're trying to make it look like there's a recession happening, but it's a snow job.
So we're out here today for the Trump rally. Behind us, Trump is giving a speech over here. We're in front of it, though, with a sign. Your sign says Jews for Trump, and it lists off a few things. Can you tell me why you're out here, and how is Trump a pro-Jewish president?
Well, the reason I'm out here is because I've seen Trump speak multiple times, including here once. So, I love hearing him speak, but I wanted to be out here and in a different environment. And the second part was, why do I support him? Well, the Israel part's obvious. Domestically, he's for gun rights, we can defend ourselves from any sort of thing, from a pogrom to a Holocaust, and he's questioning immigration. I mean, there's a lot of I'm not saying all immigrants, but there are plenty of immigrants and refugees that are anti-Semitic, and very deeply so.
But like coming from the South, you think, like coming from Mexico and stuff? Because that's the main immigration crisis that we're focusing on, right?
Certainly. I mean,
I don't know if Mexicans are particularly anti-Semitic.
There actually are a lot. What's also ironic is there's a lot of Mexicans that are Jewish, but that's a separate issue.
I don't know if Mexicans are particularly anti-Semitic. I'd say Arab countries and Muslim countries are particularly anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I mean, that's 90%. There was that poll a few years ago, 90%. Interestingly, the Muslims that live in Israel are much less anti-Semitic. So it seems when they have exposure. I mean, I have Muslim friends online from those countries, and they say they hate Israel, and then they're pretty close to me at least. So
I wanted to follow up because you mentioned the Second Amendment and gun rights. Are you a strong proponent of the Second Amendment?
Absolutely.
And I wanted to ask, because recently there have been shooting sprees that have occurred, and Trump floated the idea of red flag laws. Do you know what red flag laws are, and how do you feel about them?
I basically oppose any form of gun restrictions. Gun control to me is putting both hands on it and keeping it steady and aiming correctly.
So do you have a conflict of how you feel about with how Trump's floating this idea of the red flag laws?
I think what he did with the red flag laws so far turns out to be kind of brilliant, because first he said he supported it, and then when Fredo Cuomo came out completely unhinged, it shows how red flag can be abused. So I think he set up knowing that some Democrat was going to lose their mind in the next week, and then he would say, well, okay, we're going to enforce it against you, and now it may backtrack. Now, I think he should just hold the line and not always do the four-dimensional chess thing, but...
That's what you think was going on, 4D chess? He was just floating the idea and then withdrawing it to...
head, so I don't know. But all I know is that...
Because I always hear 4D chess and I don't know, man.
You have to wonder sometimes. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make sense. But you don't get to where he is by... You have to be a genius to get where he is. I'm not saying he's 200 IQ, but he's very crafty and very intelligent.
I wanted to follow up to you. I see you have the Jews for Trump. It's interesting because recently I've been going to a lot of abolish ICE protests and close the camps protests, and there's always a lot of Jews there. And it's always a Jews against ICE or Jews against, Jews for abolishing ICE. What do you think about that segment of secular Jews who, it's a particularly small group of Jews?
Because they go more to their socialist meetings than they do to synagogue. So, I mean, I used to be a Democrat. I grew up in a Democrat household, and when I started learning about economics and I started learning more about my religion and the Torah, it happened about the same time. So I became more religious and I became more conservative. So I think that's related.
They take it from a Jewish angle, the Jewish abolish ICE people? Do you think they're representing the religion well? Because they do this in a place from saying they're representing the religion.
I understand what they're coming from, but they're completely wrong.
Because there was a protest on Tisha B'Av at Amazon to close like an Amazon store.
Tisha B'Av.
Yeah, so like, how do you think? Are you uncomfortable with how these people are using Judaism to try to promote a political
They have every right
idea?
to free speech, absolutely 100%, but they're wrong and they're abusing it. They're not saying they're abusing speech. They're being misleading.
So in 2020, let's say Trump is reelected. What else do you want to see him accomplish?
I would like to see. I really hope he pulls out all the stops and really cleans house because there is still a lot of swamp there and bureaucrats that have been left there, and that's one thing I'd like to see more proactiveness on finishing the wall. The problem is he had Republican, Paul Ryan types who didn't entirely like him, who didn't really get anything done. So hopefully we've cleaned house and we take back the House and expand in the Senate, and we've had some success. And you have to look at all the different possibilities. I mean, Rubio would have been not great. Hillary would have been very much not great. So I don't expect perfection from him. And every little bit we can move, and even just him being there and doing nothing is a huge, unlike what a lot of the gun grabbers say, doing nothing sometimes is better than doing something, because the something can be very, very wrong.
Absolutely. Just quickly in conclusion, was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Not really. I don't think so.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. We're out here. Independent? You like that, don't you? We're out here today in New Hampshire for Trump's rally. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here, what it means for you to be out here?
I really wanted to come see the spectacle. I think Trump is a piece of garbage. I really hate him and everything he's about, but I wanted to see how crazy his supporters get.
And how crazy do you think his supporters have been getting?
It doesn't seem that crazy, but it's a bummer that they pretended that they had tickets to get in, but there's really no tickets. It's first come, first serve.
Yeah. I know on the other side there were protesters, and then we have a large MAGA crowd. Can you tell me what you dislike or do like about Trump, like the pros and cons on Trump?
It starts with the lying. Just the morality.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like every politician.
No. But it's taken to another level. It's not even lying to save your skin. It's lying to hurt other people or lying to gain something. Not just like, oh, I did something wrong. Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, I didn't do that wrong. It's terrible, but it's crazy to see the mania.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the cult of personality up close.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be able to see some of it on the screen, but I wanted to follow up. A lot of people in the media, there have been a lot of shootings recently, and a lot of people in the media were saying that Trump helped incite a lot of these shootings. Do you think Trump is at all responsible for this, or that the media is really just, being aggressive and having their anti-Trump bias?
It's not the media. They're reporting what he says. Mm-hmm. And whether or not you can blame it on him, you can blame, you can blame 1,000 things, or you can try to, but it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Saying racist things, or just fueling that fire does not help.
Do you think progressives on the other side do that at all too, and that we should try to quell the aggressive, rhetoric on both sides? Because here's the thing: if we're holding Trump responsible for the El Paso shooters, then are we going to hold, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responsible for when people attack ICE facilities?
Well, that is definitely a good point, but
I think neither are responsible. For the record, neither are responsible.
But has she advocated that? I'm not sure.
Well, here's the thing. So if you call detention camps concentration camps, then if you genuinely believe that detention centers are concentration camps, then yeah. Then
okay.
It gives good reason. So, I mean, I'm not crediting either one of them with the shootings, but I don't think the media should be saying Trump is either, because I think they're just pouncing on him given any opportunity. What do you think about the media's coverage of Trump?
I think it's very fair, but at the same time, pouncing on him at every opportunity absolutely happens. And as a guy that really dislikes Trump, I want to pounce on him. But yeah, there's plenty of things to go around, but just the volume, it's just
even as
it's too much.
Even as somebody who doesn't like Trump, do you trust the media in general?
Yes.
Absolutely, because he calls them fake news often, and I feel like trust in the media is at an all-time low. But even as somebody who is an anti-Trumper,
real media. I mean, talking pundits on CNN and talking heads, that's not media. But I listen to NPR, and they give me at the top of the hour a news report. That's generally unbiased news. They give me the news. I trust them. Talking heads on CNN, that's not And I think that's a big problem is people, opinion versus somebody giving the straight news.
Yeah, we shouldn't be conflating the two.
No, the straight news, I think, gets it right because they take Donald Trump's words and his tweets and they report on those. And there's no... If that's what he says...
That's what he says, yeah, absolutely. Just quickly in conclusion, was there anything else you want to mention?
No, this is pretty interesting.
So we're out here today outside of the Trump rally. Behind us, we have anti-Trump protesters being very vocal. You guys are obviously Trump supporters in your shirts. Can you tell me a little bit more why you guys are out here, what it means for you guys to be out here?
We want to support what we have the right to support. I know a lot of men that have gone overseas and died for this right, for ours and theirs, so we feel it's our right to show what we support and it's their right to show what they support.
Absolutely. And what do you think?
I mean, we didn't come out in the last election to support Trump. We did support him, but we didn't come out. So this year we just decided that with everything that's been going on, we were going to come out.
Are you guys native New Hampshire? Do you guys live in the state of New Hampshire? Yes. So I know in 2016 Trump lost by 0.5%, I believe, to Hillary Clinton. What has Trump done for the United States or New Hampshireans specifically that'll make you guys want to vote for him, that'll help him win New Hampshire in 2020?
I don't know if he specifically impacted New Hampshire. I know he helped with the opioid crisis, but my biggest issue has been immigration. No offense to anybody, but I don't want people just pouring into our country and having to support them.
Absolutely. What about you?
Well, I just support what he's done. He's been harder on everybody, that's been stricter on the rules, and if not everybody likes it, that's their prerogative. He's just doing what he thinks is right, and he's been a businessman for 30, 40 years, so he knows how to do his business, and he knows how to get his way.
Yeah. Are you guys fans of the Second Amendment?
Yes.
And you too?
Oh, absolutely.
So in the wake of a few shootings that have occurred, Trump's floated around the idea of red flag laws. Do you guys know what red flag laws are? Are you guys worried about red flag laws? Red flag laws are kind of like where you could potentially point out to an individual that might have some issue mentally that you think should potentially not have their firearm on them for any amount of time. People are scared that judges will overreact with this. The public will be able to point out people and it'll really harm the Second Amendment. Are you guys worried about that and Trump being specifically pro-2A?
No, I mean, if you have a fear that someone's mentally ill or not able to comply with gun laws, then yes, they should be investigated and inspected. If they get their gun licenses pulled, that's what we have to do to protect everybody else.
Are you ever fearful of the bureaucracy just taking over and then just, activist judges saying nobody should have guns or being very liberal with how they use the law to really take guns away from people? Any thoughts?
I mean, I think there should be stricter background checks. Yes, people have access to guns that probably shouldn't, but at the same time, there's a black market for guns, so they're going to get guns either way.
Well, don't print them.
So, I mean, exactly. You can even 3D print a gun now. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be completely honest, but, I mean, if that makes other people more happy to say, oh, well, there's stricter gun laws, well, go ahead. I mean, I don't have a problem with the stricter gun laws because I'll get one either way, so it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for your time. In conclusion, was there anything else you guys wanted to mention?
Nope.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Enjoy it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. I wanted to pose the question back to you. What did you think about the questions I was able to ask? Let me know down in the comments. If you guys really like the show, like, subscribe. If you guys are able to, hit up my PayPal, hit up my Patreon, support independent media, independent journalism. Till next time, stay barely informed.